evolution, 1991. The scenic coastal town, Mangalore, was witness to a new era in the field of medical education. The Islamic Academy of Education, a non-profit trust committed to the upliftment of minorities, was established by the entrepreneur Mr. Yenapoya Abdullah Kunhi. Perceiving the potential of Mangalore suburbs to be a prospective educational hub, he began the establishment of colleges with the principle of excellence in professional education, which flourished into a full-fledged university, providing training in medicine and all its parallel fields. Currently, Yenapoya is a dynasty of educational institutes like Yenapoya Dental College, Medical College, Nursing College, Physiotherapy College, Yenapoya Pharmacy College and Research Center, and Yenapoya Institute of Arts, Science, Commerce and Management were further established to offer education and research in the areas of pharmacy, management and general education. Yenapoya offers a plethora of courses with 89 ongoing and 20 approved and proposed programs. The PhD program has been introduced in 39 departments and research center as per the UGC regulations. The medical college also offers undergraduate courses in technical programs like medical lab technology, medical imaging technology, perfusion, renal dialysis, anesthesia and OT, cardiovascular technology, respiratory care, optometry, as well as hospital administration and others, to name a few. Students are presented with ample opportunities to find their niche. Spread over a sprawling 36.76-acre campus at Teralakatte, Mangaluru, all the constituent colleges are provided with excellent infrastructure to impart knowledge. Spacious examination halls and 19 lecture halls have the electronic support system to engage students eloquently. Practical training is complemented with well-equipped laboratories. The anatomy dissection hall introduces students to the intricacies of the human body before undertaking clinical examinations and procedures. Well-equipped pathology and biochemistry lab foster the importance of diagnostic procedures to implement treatment. The central laboratory is a key unit, conducts number of diagnostic and confirmatory tests. Many significant in vivo researches are conducted at the Animal House of Pharmacology Lab. At the Nursing Nutrition Lab, aspiring students learn to put together a nutritious meal for the benefit of their wards. Pre-clinical exercise at the Physiotherapy Lab enhances clinical understanding. Dental simulators prepare students to handle clinical scenarios. The Simulation Center at Yenapoya is the largest in India and trains students in a virtual environment to mitigate errors and maintain safety. This includes a number of unique state-of-the-art facilities like Anatomatch table simulating the human body, a number of high-fidelity simulators like infant, adolescent, adult, and maternal fetal simulators are housed here. Students seeking to further their knowledge can do so with CPR mannequins, endoscopy, laparoscopy trainers, cath lab and ultrasound trainers. The Simulation Center is a milestone aimed at perfecting the skills of trainees and delivering excellent treatment. Comprising of well-stocked central library, housing thousands of books, journals and publications, regularly updated via digital media, with 7 museums documenting various areas of health sciences. The Dental Museum being the most advanced, affirms Yenapoya is not just a university for the students, but a knowledge center. Students at Yenapoya acquire valuable experience during hands-on training at the medical college and hospital, with above 2,000 outpatients per day at OPD. A fully functional ICU, general wards, blood bank, digital MRD, CSSD, oncology center and kidney transplant unit. Cath labs and OT have been established. The operation theatre is equipped with 14 state-of-the-art modular OTs with stainless steel makeup and HEPA filters and antibacterial and antifungal walls. The operating rooms have state-of-the-art equipment, adequately staffed with experienced professionals. They are customized for smooth delivering of operating procedures, for super specialty and other routine emergency surgical services. The theatres meet quality standards envisaged under NABH norms. The state-of-the-art robotic surgery unit at Da Vinci Surgical Systems is a first in coastal Karnataka. Patients from all strata of society are benefiting from this advanced minimally invasive surgical system at a highly subsidized cost. Considering the demand for surgeons skilled in robotic-assisted surgeries, the university, in collaboration with Intuitive Surgical USA Inc., a global technology leader in minimally invasive robotic-assisted surgeries, has established an advanced surgical skills and robotic surgery training center, which is a second of its kind in the country. The Dental CAD Center is one of a kind in the city. The Radiology Department is one of our primary diagnostic centers equipped with ultra-modern units for diagnosis. The facilities are echocardiography, X-ray, CT scan, ultrasound and digital radiography. The 3 Tesla MRI has been installed for making use of highly advanced and reliable imaging technology for early diagnosis and treatment. There are only a handful of teaching hospitals in the country with this facility. The Yenapoya Research Center is a unique venture equipped with state-of-the-art mass spectrometric instruments and dedicated team aimed at groundbreaking research in newer fields of study, including biostatistics and information, molecular biology, toxicology, cell culture, stem cells and regenerative medicine, nanosciences and nanomedicine, microbiology and mycology, infectious disease and bioanalytics, also patenting the findings. The YU IOB Center for Systematic Biology and Molecular Medicine promotes further research in the branch of molecular biology. Center for Biomaterials and Medical Devices focuses on developing medical devices, biomaterials and non-invasive methods for diagnosis and treatment of diseases. The Center for Health Professional Education conducts regular feedback sessions and training workshops to all faculty. The Center for Substance Abuse and Prevention is an active entity that performs extensive research and counseling on tobacco, alcohol and drug cessation. Center for Ethics is proactive in imparting bioethics and medical ethics to the professionals and students in all. The Yenapoya Center for Craniofacial Anomalies is an initiative backed by a team of doctors dedicated to the study of cleft and craniofacial anomalies. At Yenapoya, social responsibilities are taken seriously. Many community outreach programs and healthcare delivery programs have been chartered for this purpose. The university has a dedicated rural healthcare and development center which caters to 27 sub-centers. The Dental College has 9 peripheral sub-centers in rural and outreach areas, and Physiotherapy College has 1 peripheral sub-center. With 8 hostels for both men and women, the campus is well equipped to provide students with a memorable experience. Students focus on overall development with the use of sporting facilities around the campus, which includes well-maintained sports ground, indoor stadium and multi-gym, helping students to maintain their physical well-being. The university boasts of an active NSS unit with over 500 volunteers. Renaissance, the students' annual cultural extravaganza, is a platform for showcasing their talents in curricular and extracurricular activities. Along with being an educational center, Yenapoya is nature-friendly green campus. The Center for Environmental Sciences is dedicated to the sustainable development of the university campus. 1/3 of the campus is glowing with green. The primary attraction being Medicinal Garden, the campus boasts of initiatives like rainwater harvesting, solar panels, drinking water and sewage water treatment plants. A central kitchen supplies sumptuous, hygienic food catering to all necessities. Yenapoya campus houses a prayer hall, cafeteria, mini theatre, laundry and daycare facility. Education is the food for the mind, body and soul. At Yanapoya, we deliver the best of everything to help our young minds enlighten themselves, making a difference to the world as we know it today. Discover your world at Yanapoya.
Those things. So that is not correct type of the assessment. We will see that what are the limitations in the traditional theory evaluation. So it is less reliable, it is less valid, and it is less objective, and definitely it is having lack of application. So there was an attempt by some of the universities, the paper setters actually tried to bring in some of this application level questions and all those things, but majority of the university and the question papers still going that old fashion. Okay, so it is all these criteria actually it is holds good. What are the solutions to overcome these limitations? If it is less reliable, we can make that essay questions into structured essay questions. Again, as I said, many universities already started this structured essay questions. It's a good move, but still it's not uniform throughout all the universities and colleges. And the short answer questions, MCQs. So these are the type of questions which is going to bring more reliability. And the less validity can be corrected by using the essays and short structured essay questions and MCQs and short answer questions with action verbs. So again, we lack in the short answer questions will be given just like a single word and all those things. But if you use action verbs, then it gives a more validity. And the less objectivity means it is like a more subjective thing is actually now, which can be corrected through using more MCQs, because they're actually that it will be yes or no. Okay, so two things, whether they're correct or not correct. And if you use some of the checklist, so that also can be lessen the objectivity. In fact, even you can use short answer questions in the form of the fill in the blanks and like a single word questions and all those things. So that also helps in bringing more objectivity. Whereas lack of application, we need to go into a problem-based or case-based structured essay questions, and even of course, even the short essay questions also can be do with the problem-based one. So let us see the Bloom's taxonomy for assessment. It was shown yesterday also. So if you see that the pyramid of this Bloom's taxonomy, so whatever actually that assessment is going on in the present situation is at the base and the next one. Okay, so that is the remember and understand level. Remember means it's a knowledge, just they're recalling the whatever knowledge actually they got, whereas the understand means it's a comprehension. So they're trying to like explain or describe whatever actually they have understood. So these two things actually we see commonly in most of our the question papers, and whereas application level, as I said, actually some of the universities are like the paper setters have attempted this, but in a large extent it is not yet started in most of the university or college level. Whereas analyze, evaluate, and analyzing means like they should able to like analyze the any given situation and evaluate, and then they are able to like create some new ideas. That means like synthesize some new ideas based on that given situation. So this is from the lower order to the higher order. So whatever actually we are doing now, it is only testing the students, the knowledge that is at the lower order level. We need to move on to little higher order level. It may be difficult to like directly jump to that create level and all those things, but at least that application level and analyzing level actually we can definitely we can make an attempt. So these are some of the action verbs or measurable verbs if you able to use during while setting your question paper. So definitely we can achieve some of the this the Bloom's taxonomy level of the assessment. So I'll give some of the examples in our subject. We'll see that the essay questions which are structured. So at knowledge level, when you are setting a question paper, so we need to use the some of the action verbs like define professional misconduct, enumerate any 5 acts that amount to professional misconduct, name the disciplinary actions against the professional misconduct. So you're dividing the 3 component here, and you are given a specific marks for this. 2 plus 5 plus 3 is equal to 10 marks. So when such questions are given, students also understand that actually. So for definition, I have only 2 marks, and even examiner who is evaluating this one, he also understands that actually how much marks I have to give, whatever they write. So for the definition, how much I should give. And enumerate next component is 5 marks. So the 5 acts were given. So for each one actually it is 1 like that. Okay, so it is very clear where both students will understand actually how much to write, whereas the evaluator also understand actually how much marks should be given. So it helps to bring more objectivity here. And next level is comprehension. So again, we need to make a slight change in this action verbs here. Comprehension means they have to try to explain, okay, whatever actually they have understood. Okay, so it has to be explained here. The define professional misconduct. So instead of enumerate, I use the word actually explain any 5 acts that amount to professional misconduct, and instead of against professional misconduct. So don't worry about this marks distribution. So just I have taken the same example so that actually you're able to understand actually how to vary this the questions depending on the level of the assessment. So this is for the knowledge and comprehension level. So this is actually better to avoid. You can use actually, but better to go for comprehension level though. Okay, so that is you will give a more clarity how much they understood and all those things. So you should better to go for a comprehension level. And I made an attempt here to address a essay question at the level of where students can apply, analyze, and evaluate. So you can go through this the case example. A patient visits a doctor complaining of pain abdomen since 2 days. After clinical examination, doctor asks the patient get a ultrasound scan abdomen at XYZ laboratory. Patient pays his professional fee rupees 300 and visits the laboratory for scanning. After scanning, the patient was asked to pay rupees 2000, which was argued by the patient for extra charges. Finally, lab informs that 50% goes to doctor as guides for referring the patient. So I just taken an example like this. It may not be like a best one. Okay, so just to like make you understand. So like such clinical cases or some problem-based cases actually if you give, then you need to like frame your questions, multiple questions, so that actually you will get a answer. So name the unethical act by the doctor in this case at the 1 marks, and justify the reason for concluding the doctor's act as unethical, 2 marks. Define the doctor's offense as per the IMC Act, that is 2 marks. List any other 4 acts similar to unethical act in this case, 2 marks. So describe the various punishments for unethical act in this case, 3 marks. So here I use that name, define, list, and describe. It comes to like the knowledge as well as the comprehension level, whereas this justify adds here to for anything to justify they should apply their knowledge. and they should able to analyze the given situation there and make an evaluation to comment on that particular whatever that we are asking. So this helps in achieving the level of application, analysis, and evaluation. And again, I made an attempt to go to the next level, synthesis level, okay, or create that level. A 30 years, at the same, I've taken an example of the organophosphate poisoning here. So 30-year-old male was brought to casualty with history of consumption of unknown poison. Patient was in a semi-conscious state with vomitous material on the shirt with kerosene-like odor. He had difficulty in breathing with excessive salivation and profuse sweating. On examination, it was observed that pupils were constricted with bradycardia, hypotension, abdominal cramps, wheezing, and crepitations on lung auscultation. Again, I just made an attempt to create a case scenario. You can add many other aspects to make it more easily students can understand that situation. And you can go for this what is the most probable diagnosis in this case, explain the mechanism of this poisoning, interpret the lung findings in this case with reasoning. That interpret, when it comes, actually it is kind of a application. Okay, so they should and also whatever the knowledge they have, so they should able to apply here. And the suggest and create, suggest the investigations required in this case and create a treatment plan for this poisoning. So that is something where they are synthesizing. Okay, that is where something which is not given here, they should able to tell to that particular situation what type of investigations they have to order and how they are going to plan the treatment plan. So if you, that is, it's actually, maybe it is difficult to for a undergraduate student to target this one, but if our level of teaching goes up as year goes, we can attempt this level also. So right now, actually, I suggest at least if you try for that application and analysis level, it is most welcome and it's very good one. And just we'll see some of the examples of short essay questions. So very often we see that type of questions. Okay, the medical negligence, just that one. Okay, and you know that medical negligence, this actually we can write even 5 to 7 pages of answer, and you can restrict to even 1 page and all those things. And it is decision is left to that student, and even because students actually they don't have that much capacity, like how much to restrict and all those things. Some students may write only a little bit, and some students may write more about that. And when we are evaluating, lot of confusion even for the evaluator. Generally, what happens if you see a very good paper, and the next actually you see very less content, so you will start comparing and giving marks. So this is actually usually happens. So better to avoid such questions. Instead of that one, go for with action verbs. Describe the elements of medical negligence. I'm just given an example. Okay, so if you don't agree with this, actually you can put a better question also. But the describe correctly tells actually what it is and describe the difference between civil and criminal negligence. So like this, if you use the action verbs, so then it is very easy for student as well as the evaluator to understand the concept. I mean, what exactly need to be evaluated. Also, we'll see short answer questions. We see a lot of the short answer questions in this form. Just one word, choking, IPUS, define viability. So here action verb is used, define, but define viability, is it equal to 3 marks? See, when you're giving a question, we should see that whether it is good enough to the marks which is awarded there. So define just what happens generally here, even though it is given define viability, some students, because by seeing the marks, they start on, go on explaining. But if somebody stick to this one only definition, whether the other one is written or not, we have to give complete 3 marks to this define viability. So better to avoid such type of the questions. And hallucinogens, you know that hallucinogens actually go on writing. So it is not correct actually to give such questions. human hair, bore of shotgun. Okay, so that bore of shotgun, how much to write? Okay, that you have to see. Probably 1 mark or 2 marks, something like that, not for the 3 marks. Instead of that one, you can use some of the action verbs, like describe the meaning of choking in asphyxial death and firearm case. So you know that actually there are two things. So here, 1.5 marks actually it can be given, and defines smothering, gagging, and choking. So they just have to define three things, and it is very clear. So even students know very clearly that how much to write, and evaluator actually knows. So for this, only one is written actually 1 mark, and two marks like that. And you can use the name the antidotes used in a treatment of cyanide poisoning. So that is again, you know that actually three antidotes we need to mention there. So if all three are there, 3 marks, something like that. Or you can make use of that fill in the blanks kind of this one. So these are actually brings more objectivity to our short answer questions. I'll not go into the depth of MCQs because it is again it takes more than an hour. So just give a brief idea about like how the MCQs. I mean, we can frame. We can use either single or multiple answer questions, true or false questions, fill in the blanks, match the following type. Like that, actually, there are many types of the questions which can be included under MCQs. And the important thing is MCQ should be validated before giving in summative assessments. And again, that procedure of validation, please go through that the reference are given there. So there is a particular methodology for validation. It takes more time to like explain all those things. So you need to like, you can visit this. It is easily available in the PDF form. You can Google it and you can get the full information. Now we'll move on to the blueprinting of a question paper. So what is meant by this blueprint? So you all know that actually that blueprint which is a very common word used in the architect the sector. So before building any construction of any building and all those things, so we need to have a, something like a planning and all those things. Okay, so that will be in the form of that the picture which is shown here. So in our medical education, so this blueprint is a three-dimensional chart of question paper design, which shows the weightage to be given to the content areas or topics, the type of questions, the various profiles of abilities under cognitive domains. So you can see that what are the content should be. So the type of questions can be multiple choice questions, long essay questions, short essay questions, and short answer questions. Okay, so this again it can vary from university to university. Only thing is MCA told actually MCQs can be at the maximum of 20%. That's all. Okay, so you cannot go more than 20%. And remaining long essay, short answer. So that one actually at university level actually we can make any kind of the change. So I just give an example here. MCQs 20%, and I would like to take long essay questions at 20%, short essay 40%, and short answer questions 20%. And the cognitive that various cognitive level domains tested can go mean like from that all 6 levels also. As I said, it is right now even creating as well as students understanding that higher level of this one may be difficult. Maybe you can try that application level and analysis level. If it is possible, you can take to that level. So better to include the basic level also, because always we tell no, like whenever we are testing, first we should tell the basic level of knowledge, then we should go to little higher level. Okay. So basic level 30%, understanding the 50%, and the application level 20%. So that actually really differentiates a good student who really understood the entire the learning, and whereas the knowledge and I mean that the understanding level, no, sometimes it just kind of a recall, and some people able to explain very good or may not be. Okay, so it is if you divide the percentage wise before setting a question paper, it is very useful to like make a very meaningful question paper. And also you need to consider the difficult level of the question paper. So try to include about around 30% of easy level questions and 50% of moderate. That's why the majority of questions should be at a moderate level of difficulty, and very difficult questions. So this difficult level, try to like keep moderate level more, and you can fluctuate. And just given an example here, that's all. Okay, so it all like at the university level, actually, we need to decide about these aspects. We need to give certain instructions like to the paper setter. So like this. So it is the instruction. The first one is given by the MCI guidelines. So only core competencies shall be considered for framing questions. Okay. So it is applicable to all the subject. So only core competencies. It is very clear. Non-core competencies should not be considered for framing questions. And each paper should contain the following distribution of questions as shown in the below table. So the type of questions can be MCQs, long essay questions, and short essay like this. You can give a table, and the marks per question is marked in the next column. So that is the MCQs. Each MCQ is 1 mark, and such question, I mean, the number of questions will be 20. So the total marks will be 20 marks. So like that. Long essay, how much is the marks, short essay, and short answer. So if you give a table like this with the distribution of the marks and type of questions and all those things, paper setter actually knows that, so to what type of questions I need to set and how many questions I need to set. And again, an attempt has been made here to distribute uniformly the marks as well as the number of questions across the forensic medicine and toxicology. And I've just taken a kind of an example here. See, this is section was made based on that the competency table. So under general information and forensic pathology, so these are the major the divisions are made in the competency table. So general information, forensic pathology, clinical forensic medicine, medical jurisprudence, and here I clubbed in the section 5 forensic psychiatry and the FSL, this one. Okay, so that is clubbed in the section 5, and in section 6, so all toxicology part. Okay, so I made 6 part here, and I have taken 5 marks for the general information, and given the major marks to the forensic pathology, clinical forensic medicine, and the toxicology. And medical jurisprudence 15 marks, and the forensic psychiatry and FSL 5 marks. And in this table, actually, it is clearly mentioned how many questions should be set. Okay, how many MCQs, long essay from which component, short essay from which component, and short answer from which component you have to take. And if you see further instruction down, which is marked in the green, the long essay question, that is marked in the star. Kindly observe the section 2, section 3, and section 6. Okay. See, the long essay questions shall be chosen from any 2 sections of section 2, 3, and 6. Because we have only 2 long essays can be given in whatever actually I have planned here. So I would like to take any 2 questions from section 2, 3, and 6. And the display of questions for these sections are shown as follows. The 2 sections should contain 3 MCQs, 1 long essay question, 2 short essay questions, and 1 short answer question. So you can see the table, so it is clearly shown. So when 2 essays are taken in that one, the other one, so here in section 6 as shown, there is a variation in the short essay. Okay, so instead of 2, we take 3 short essays and 2 short answers to match that 25 marks. So this table actually gives the overall idea actually how much marks should be given for each section of the subject. Further, if you make a table like this, it is clearly know that actually, I mean, it's if it is little confusing in that previous table. So this layout actually definitely helps in giving a good question paper by seeing that just actually you have to see the sections and give the marks. So there is given a three options here, option 1, 2 and 3. So any one option can be taken. Just given three options because generally they will be asked to like set three set of question papers. So that's why. So long essay, you can just concentrate on the section 2 and take a long essay, and section 3 and whether section 2, 3 or 4 or 6 for short essays, and same thing actually applicable to short answers. So there is a variation in option 2 and option 3 regarding this one. So this overall layout helps in setting a question paper by distributing the marks equally across the, and also giving more importance to that the more subject area. So it all covers the overall the objectivity of that our blueprint. So the blueprint helps the paper setter to optionalize this setting of questions as per the design to improve the content validity and to achieve the valid assessment for students. Even if you share this to the like whenever the paper setter actually you are choosing from across the state, so you need to like share the blueprinting as well as the content area and all those things. So then actually it is very useful for them to like easily go through this and set a good question paper. And practical assessment. So again, this Miller's pyramid was shown yesterday. So there is a at the base no sand, no sow level, and this is what actually commonly we are evaluating so far. Whereas we are not going to that like show, sow, and do level. As it came to like a discussion yesterday, do or does. Okay, so does is actually at the workplace based assessment. Okay, so generally. It is very difficult to give to like a student independently to do that work and all those things. So most of the times it is not recommended. So we need to like target now at the level of the show sow. Okay, it is clearly mentioned even in you can see that the skills module which is released by the MCI. So it is mainly we need to target up to the level of show sow. Whereas the does level you can try in the internship. Okay, so that I'm going to touch upon that one in the end. So these are the various skills mentioned in our competency released by MCI. So totally we have about 22 skills. I'm sorry that there is some delay in this one, side movement. So totally 22 skills were given in the competency table. Okay, while preparing the practical assessment, you need to follow various steps. In the first step, especially that this competency based I'm telling, okay, so they're given 22 the skills. It's very difficult to like assess all the skills in the university examination. So we need to decide on the marks for practical assessment and Viva first, because MCI in its that GMER they're not told like how much to practical and Viva and all those things. So just told theory 100 and theory 100 for practical and Viva. Okay, like that. So I would like to give 80 for the practical assessment by seeing so many like a competency, all those things, and Viva 20, because Viva is like many times it will be highly subjective. So it is better to give very less marks to that one, and the practical actually can include more. Of course, it is up to the decision of the individual universities. And next step, select the competencies which can be included for assessment. Because if you go through that the table, so many things actually it is very difficult to like assess. So that's why like whether it is able to like create a situation or like we're able to like the evaluate, that also we have to see. And then assign marks and time to each exercise and develop checklist for evaluation. And group the exercises into various auspicious stations depending on the time duration. Okay, so that actually at a time actually they can move to different stations so that actually you can achieve your practical assessment within time. And step 6 is conduct internal assessment similar to university examination. At least 1 or 2 internal assessments. So the basic idea is students should know actually how they will be assessed. So just like if you make an experiment only in the university examination, it doesn't work. And if it becomes like a regular internal assessment, this one it will be very good. Initially it may be difficult, but once you start doing, it is becomes a regular exercise. So I just made an attempt again to like group all the competences given. So here I grouped into 9. So MSc certificate, either injury or poisoning, and I have planned for how to evaluate. So for a medical legal certificate, I can give either case, if it is wherever it is possible, actually you can allot a case, or you can create a case scenario with or without standardized patient. Okay, if you want to like evaluate that even the consent part and all those things, then actually you can use that standardized patient. Whereas how to evaluate is in the like they have to examine the actual patient or and documentation and drafting the certificate. Because these are the some of the action plans I have created. And even similarly for weapon examination, A certificate, and whereas it almost goes like that only. Whereas postmortem certificate, I would like to give a case scenario and try to frame some questions where actually they have to apply their knowledge and answer those questions. So it is again it depends on the how much marks actually you are given. And blood grouping, if you want to include, so there actually you can ask them to perform. Okay, so that is demonstration. Okay, they have to shows how to do. Okay, so that is then I have to give opinion. And again, skeletal remains examination, they have to demonstrate. So these are all shows of level. Wherever you use your verb demonstrate, so it means it is a shows how. Okay, so they're going to show how to perform that one. Okay, and whereas the some of the medical legal certificates like accused of sexual violence, victim of sexual violence, drunkenness certificate. So here I don't want to give all the, at least any one can be given. Again, it all depends on the university and college level. They have to decide. So you give a case scenario and they have to do documentation plus drafting the certificate. And MCCD actually it is not given in that 14.1 to 14.22, whereas it is mentioned in 1.11 or 1.12, I think. Okay, so again it is mentioned as a skills component. So I felt actually it is also important. Okay, MCCD is actually any doctor should know how to write this MCCD certificate. So that's why I want to include in the assessment part. So again, you give the case scenario and ask for the documentation and drafting the certificate. And remaining thing, whatever you're following as a Spartus, I've included all in Spartus. So the gestational age, again, it was introduced here. If you like have enough fetus and all those things can be kept for the examination or museum specimen, all those things it is there. So you can include as a separate exercise also, or can be included in the Sparta. Just an example it is shown here. So you need to group like this and prepare the action plans, how you want to evaluate the student. And then you can go for the creating the auspice stations. So in station 1, so first I allotted the marks for that individual certificates. You can see that MS certificate 10 and along with that weapon examination, I want to give 5 marks. Okay, 15 marks and 20 minutes. So if once you like give the marks as well as time duration, so if you see the time duration, so all stations will be having 20 minutes. Okay, it is just an example again. You have to like do a lot of homework on this and discuss with your colleagues. And then actually we have to decide on like which exercise should be included in which station and how to rotate and all those things. Okay, so first time it is definitely to be difficult. So once I think if you made an attempt and if you start working on this, it becomes a routine for us. And it is very important to develop the checklist for evaluation. Otherwise, that again, a lot of subjectivity comes whenever we evaluate the certificates. So you can, for all exercise, of course. Okay. So I've given an example here for injury certificate. So you take the injury certificate and various components of that one, and I've given more importance here for the documentation of the injuries. Okay, you can see that how well actually they describe the injury and and opinion. So I given more importance to that one, whereas various other marks actually it is distributed for other component. Okay, and this helps the even evaluator and even students actually whenever checklist is made in the form of rubrics actually while teaching also should be given to students. Students should know what are the components will be assessed. Okay, and how which component actually carries how many marks and all those things if they know, so then definitely they give more importance to do well. Again, I made an attempt for skeletal remains for checklist. You can see here I given maximum marks for the morphological details. Okay, so whatever that their observation and all those things, and I distributed even though like a quarter marks, so it is well and good. Or you can make it like group and you can give little off like that, all those things. So and opinion 2 marks. Okay, this again for examiner sometimes they may feel that actually we have to go through all these things. So that's why again first time it may be difficult, and once actually if you start practicing, definitely it will not be a difficult exercise. Lastly, that certifiable skills were mentioned in our MCI competency-based curriculum. These are the certifiable skills given for the forensic medicine: documentation of certification of trauma, diagnosis of, and see these are the 5 are there. Okay, and along with that in the bracket they are given I or D. So I stands for independently performs on patient. Okay, so that is documentation of certification of trauma. It means injury certificate. Okay, so this is actually can be done at internship level. Okay, this is certifiable skills mentioned only for the interns. Okay, internship. So it is all the subjects actually it has some of the that in the form of the P. Okay, so that is certifiable skills actually requirement is given in the MCI table, whereas the forensic it is not there. Okay, so the certifiable skills 5 it is only at the level of the internship. Okay, and D means demonstrates on patients or simulation and perform under supervision of in patients. As I said, drawback is interns posting in FMT is optional. Okay, so initially when that GMR was released, they mentioned 15 days of posting, and later that revised GMER, that is the latest one, so it removed and it is mentioned as a intern posting is a optional in forensic medicine. So only thing is the suggestion I can give is at university level you can try, okay, because 15 days posting is given to casualty, and most of the times in casualty they see either the emergency treatment as well as the MLC documentation and all those things. So 1 week at least we need to take to do all these certifiable skills. We require some place actually some time to give all these activities. So to summarize, I discussed about the lacunae in the traditional assessment methods and how to improvise the student evaluation by using the verbs in Bloom's taxonomy, and importance of blueprinting of the question paper, and planning for the OSCE in FMT, and how to prepare the checklist and the importance of checklist in the practical assessment, and the certifiable skills which can be assessed during internship. Thank you one and all. If you have any questions, actually, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, sir, for excellent presentation.